We're here, Cayuga Lake, Orange County Bass Masters, 2-day event. We got Rich over here. Dino's here. Paul ran away already. Joey's somewhere. Where is Joey? Oh, Joey's out in the freaking lake. Hopefully we get some big bags today. Freaking the fish are there. We're trying to get out of here. Hopefully we can get out of here a little earlier. But stay tuned. All right, everybody. Rob Hogue, the Bass Talkers, Cayuga Lake. 2-day tournament for Orange County Bass Masters, tournament number 6. So I was really excited to fish this tournament. Been waiting for it all year. We got up on Thursday for practice. I was planning on making like a 15 to 20 mile run south on my first day of practice. And 5 minutes into that run, my boat went into safe mode, lost power. So I couldn't run, so I idled back up north, and I kind of just practiced up north, which is what I didn't want to do. So that kind of jammed me up. I would like to have practiced south day 1, and then if I liked what I saw day 1 in practice, I would have practiced day 2 in different areas down that end of the lake, because I really think I could have got on 2 huge bags of fish, but can't do anything about that. Can't do anything about the boat situation. You kind of have to deal with it. But I went back to the hotel, I did some diagnostics, and figured out I blew a piston. I was able to bypass it and run on 5 cylinders. Wasn't able to run well. I was only able to do about 45 miles an hour. And it took me forever to get on plane, but I was still able to run, and so I was able to practice south day 2 and find some good fish. I found like 30 beds and some big ones. So, and that's what I'm fishing right now. Everything I found day 2 of practice is what I'm fishing right now. I'm fishing for my big ones. And I knew I had, 20, 30 beds. I knew I had a handful of good ones, big ones, and then I had some good ones. But I also knew that area I was going to be not the only one fishing that area. There was another guy that was kind of fishing some of my stretch. So I was kind of limited on the fish I was going to have day 1 and day 2. So I really needed a big day 1. This is my first fish. You can see I'm switching baits a lot. I'll talk about that in a second. But I catch all my smallmouth in practice so I can weigh them and put them back on the bed, because I know chances are I'm going to be able to catch them again. And I like to know, with smallmouth, I like to know what I'm fishing for. You can't really get away with that with largemouth because they won't bite again. But the smallmouth, normally you can kind of piss off enough to get them to bite again. There's number 1. And you notice I'm not really rushing the fish. I'm not going crazy running around the boat. I'm kind of just taking my time. I'm messing with my drag, letting them take line. These fish at Cayuga are some of the hardest fighting smallmouth I've ever caught. I am going up to St. Lawrence this week, so that might change, but at the point of this video, these are the hardest fighting smallmouth I ever caught. So you don't want to rush them. You don't want to do anything crazy. You kind of just let them do their thing, and when they get up to the surface, you try to put that net on them. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. When your first fish of the day is a 4.5 pounder, that's the right way to start your tournament. But like I was saying about color, so and baits. I have 4 rods rigged up, for this day. What I found out in practice was normally, like, you go to a lake and you see smallmouth on beds or whatever, you can get away. You get bit once, you can probably catch all of them the same way, same bait. These fish were, it was not like that. These fish seemed to have a mind of their own, and they all wanted different things. And I'd get to a fish and I'd start working it, and nothing. It wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. Switch. Wouldn't work. Switch. Wouldn't work. Switch. Wouldn't work. Switch. And then eventually I'd switch, and they'd hit it right away. Um, and before I put that bait on, there was no interest in the bait at all. So I kind of came up with four that were the main ones, and I even go back in the box, I think, to switch some colors out every once in a while. But this was one of my fish. It wasn't there. You're gonna get that when you catch them in practice and weigh them and put them back down. You're gonna lose some fish. Some fish are gonna leave. But as long as you're on enough numbers and quality of fish, I really don't mind them leaving. Obviously, I would have liked them to stay. That would have given me more fish for day two, but I kind of expect it. But if it's not there, I just move on to the next one. And you can see I'm not really wasting time in between. I know where my beds are. I'm just going to idle there or make a small run there. You can see a lot of these fish I'm having to work. There is a fish later that was a pretty big one, and it was way shallow, so I got a good look at it to where I didn't even have to catch it in practice. Um, these ones I did catch, you have to work a little harder, and you have to figure out what bait it's going to take to get it to fire. You can see I'm not really rushing him, just staying calm, not freaking out, just kind of letting him do his thing. The only thing I'm really trying to prevent is him going under the boat. I'll play with my drag. If he starts really tugging, I'm going to loosen my drag a little bit and just let him go. You see how I put the net over the side of the gunnel? That's something I like to do because then I don't risk. I'm pumped. I like putting the net over the gunnel because then I don't risk when I go to pick it up, it hooking on a rod or anything like that. I just know it's going to get to the water. But yeah, I'm pretty jacked up right now. The next spot's funny. Funny story. So I saw this. I had a fish on this bed. Big one, 4.5. And I caught it. I'm gonna edit this out, but there's this big rock, and there was a fish swimming around this rock on this bed. Big fish. I was working it in practice. People were watching me, seeing if I was gonna be able to get it. I ended up catching it, but you see that blue float right there? That'll go with the story. So I went back that day. I didn't see it there, which it's possible it was there. It's low light. It's hard to see. There's starting to drizzle, so there's a chance it's not there. but and there's a chance that it is there. So I went back on day 2, and a float like that blue and white one was placed over top of where the bed was and anchored on both sides by rope and cinder blocks. They did not want me to get to that fish, which that was the first time I ever dealt with anything like that. But it is what it is. You just got to move on. This fish catch is pretty cool. I'm working my way to my bed, and there's a balcony up in the top right hand corner of the screen, and I guess there's a lady drinking her morning coffee out there, and I'm in my zone, not suspecting anything, and she yells down to me, "How you doing?" And it scares the crap out of me.
Morning, how are you? Good. Thank you very much.
This was the one I didn't
I
catch in
appreciate it.
practice. I just saw it.
Hopefully I can catch one for you. We'll try. Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be. There he is.
This fish was crazy.
That's one I need, definitely. Smallmouth. That's one I need.
Going right for the motor.
Wow. Yes, it is. I need to get it in. Come on. Stay on. Oh, that's one I need. Whew.
Yeah, we're cooking with gas now. This is.
Well, thank you for having that rock there.
We're headed in the right direction. Another 4 and change. So we got a 4.5 and 2 that are just 4 and change. But I start to notice right here my first mistake of this whole tournament, and I did make a couple mistakes. My ice. So I talked about in my last video how I like to manage my fish in my live wells. I like to put a bag of ice in each live well, seal it, put some G juice in there, and then as the ice melts, I have frozen bottles of Gatorade. But being that we were traveling for this event, I didn't, and being in a hotel, I didn't have a way of freezing those bottles of water. So I was kind of stuck to just using ice, and I did not bring enough ice. And I realized that I think after this one, after this fish, that hey, the ice situation isn't great. Which isn't good. I'm catching fish in 65-degree water, and it's going to be 90 degrees this day. And that water in your live well is just going to heat up, and that's not good for the fish. And smallmouth are tough to keep alive anyway. So mistake number 1 was I didn't bring enough ice. Another good one. Not rushing them. Another big one. Yeah, this is when I noticed the ice situation. It's starting to rain a little heavier. I mean, I got 4 in the box. I fished for 4 fish, caught 4 fish. I mean, can't ask for a better start to the day. I mean, yeah, I did have a couple fish that left, but I mean, that is what it is. You expect it. But it's perfect conditions right now to bedfish, except for the rain, which goes away. It doesn't rain very long. Perfect conditions to do what I want to do. Here I'm working. I see some boulders like earlier. I just pitch around, see if maybe I can find another good one for the next day. Check the docks a little bit. See this fish right here, I broke off in practice. Um, it's a 4.5. I broke it off in practice. So I'm pretty sure it's still got a hook in it. And I don't even know if it's there right now. Actually, I haven't seen it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, it's not there. It's not there. So I kind of wanted to switch my angle a little bit. And when I switched my angle, I saw its tail moving. So then you see me get really excited. Then I started, okay, it's there. It's there. Then I kind of settle in and start working it. And there she is, digging, digging.
Another big one, I think.
Digging. Just stay calm. Let her do what she wants to do. Cool thing is, I get my hook back from the day before. I actually got my hook back. But there's the day right there. I was done after that. Another 4.5. It was that was about as perfect of a morning as you could have. It's really early right now, and this is where some of my mistakes come into play. Some of it was because of my motor. Well, when my live wells are full of water and these fish, I was having problems getting on plane. Um, my boat was really light in the front. I had all that weight in the back, and it was tough. I did end up figuring out how to do it. I had to kind of trick everything a little bit, but I end up working north, like in the direction of the boat, to see if I could find more beds. Now, at this point, one of my fish this last fish I caught wasn't doing, like, as soon as I put him in the live well, I checked him a couple minutes later and he got real pale, and I was really worried about that fish dying. But in hindsight, I should have just let him die. It's a quarter-pound penalty. I should have stayed south. I knew the wind was going to be coming out of the north the next day, so I knew I should have stayed south and found areas that were protected from the wind, new water. I had 6 hours left in the day to find more beds, more big fish, so I could have another huge bag the next day. I didn't do that for some reason. It was in my mind that I was so worried about getting more ice for this fish to keep this fish alive and not want to get a 0.25 pound penalty, but it ended up costing me a little bit. But tomorrow's a new day. We'll see how we do. And there was my weight, 21.86 pounds.